So as he said, my name is LT. I grew up in Winnipeg. I'll tell you a little bit about myself to start off. So I grew up in Winnipeg, Transcona, more specifically. Anybody from Transcona? Over there? Nice. I like you guys. You guys are my favorite. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, and then we'll get into the different jobs in radio. Is anybody interested in going into radio? Yeah? Seriously interested? Awesome. That's good. So my story, I had a lot of different jobs. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was studying to be an electrician before I got into radio. And it got to the point where I had to either go to school to be an electrician or take a different path. And radio was something that I always had in the back of my head, but I was a little bit nervous about it because it's kind of hard to get into radio. It's a tough industry to break into. But I wanted to do it. I couldn't stand being an electrician, although it's a good job, lots of work out there, good money. And I decided to go to school. So I went to the Academy of Broadcasting, which is one option for you guys here in the city. You can also go to CRECOM and University, Creative Communications, which is a very good course as well. That one's 2 years, and my course was 9 months. So the reason why I took mine was just so I could get it in there as fast as I could, because I was getting older. So that's why I did that. So basically, I went to school, did my 9 months, then you'd take something called a practicum, where they place you in a radio station and you kind of learn hands-on on what to do. So I went to Fort Francis. Does anybody know where that is? No. It's on the, he does. It's on the border of the United States. It's in Ontario. And it's just like a small paper mill town. Stinks. Stinks all the time. If you've ever been in a paper mill town. It's pretty stinky. Anywho, that has nothing to do with anything. So I took my practicum there. That was about 3 weeks. And basically, you learn how to do everything when you're on your practicum. So they teach you all the different jobs, which we'll go over in just a little bit. And at the end of my practicum, they offered me a job in sales. But that was not really the part of radio that I wanted to get into, so I turned it down. And I kind of wanted to stay in Winnipeg. I was willing to move, because you have to be willing to move if you want to get into radio, because usually you'll have to go to a smaller town, or you'll have to go up north and pay your dues, usually about 2 or 3 years before you can work in a big city. My story's a little different. I kind of lucked out. So I came back to Winnipeg and shopped my demo tape around for a little bit, and it was about 5 months I was sitting and had heard nothing back, haven't had any job offers. So I was starting to get a little worried. And then one morning when I was driving my wife to work, Ace, Burpee, and Chrissy were talking about all this work they had to do and how they were going to pawn it off on their intern. Then the very next break when they came on, they were joking around again, and then they were like, oh, we don't even have an intern. So I took a resume, I drove back home, grabbed a resume, and drove it down to the station. And Ace called me that day, and he said, why don't you come in tomorrow morning? So I think the plan was for them to just make fun of me for a few weeks and then get rid of this guy, and that's how it was supposed to go down. And I just kept coming back, and I've been there for 5 years now. That's also where my name came from, because my real name is Kevin. And the first week I was there, Ace, have you guys ever watched the show Entourage? Have you heard of it? So Ace's favorite character on that show was Ari Gold. And Ari had an assistant named Lloyd that he'd always yell at. So Ace wanted an assistant to yell at as well. So he said, hey, can I call you Lloyd? And I said, yeah, you can call me whatever you want as long as I can keep coming back. And that's where Lloyd came from. So I'm stuck with that name, which is all right. I got a job in radio, so that's okay. But Lloyd's kind of a nerdy name. I like Kevin better. So that's how I got into radio. Like I said, it doesn't always work out like that. Usually you'll have to go up north. So if radio is something you're really serious about, you have to be prepared to move, because most likely you're going to have to. What you need to get into radio? Of course, you need a radio certificate. So like I said, you can go to the Academy of Broadcasting, or you can go to Creative Communications. What you also need that you won't find anywhere, I'll tell you, is people skills. So you need to be good with people, because you got to do a lot of stuff like this. You got to host a lot of charity events. You're always out in the public. And it helps if you're good with people. If you're a mean person, it's going to come through, right? So you got to be good at that. You got to be computer savvy, which is something that I wasn't, but I'm learning to be. Everything is done on computer now in radio. So whether it's production, or you're making commercials, or you're doing stuff for your blog, everything's on computer. Social networking is a big thing too now, which wasn't when I first started, and now it's very important in your job. So Facebook and Twitter, you got to know what you're doing on there. You got to maybe build a following, right? it's just another way to reach everybody when you're not on the radio. Before it was just you're on the radio, that's it. That's how you reach people. Now there's so many ways, like I can reach all of you probably any time of the day, right? If you're a follower or whatever. So that's very important. A typical day for me is not really typical. It changes every single day. So it starts off the same. I get up probably about 4 in the morning. Go through some sites. So you want to know what's going on in the community. You want to know what's going on in regular news, celebrity news. You want to take that. So Ace, Chrissy, myself would all do that. And then when we meet in the morning, we just say, okay, this is what we got. We pick what we think is the best, what we think would be the funniest. And that's what we go with for the show. So you probably put in, plus you do that at night as well before you go to bed. So you probably put in about 4 hours of prep and end up using maybe 10% of what you've got. So it's a lot of work. Lots of it doesn't get used, but that's the process, so you just do it. Then after that, you do your show. So we're on from 5:30 till 10. Then at 10, I got to put things on our website. So you have your own blog that you have to look over or look after and put content on, as well as I have to do extra stuff on our website. So we do best of clips. So the funniest stuff of the morning, I have to cut up, put it in this program, edit it so it's a little tighter and quick, and throw that on the website. And like I said, I knew nothing about computers when I first started, so I had to learn that as I went along. You guys are probably very good at computers, so I would say no worries for you guys. And then after that, that's probably around noon. And then after that, your day is all over the place. So it changes from day to day. Like I said, you could be emceeing some sort of charity event. I go to schools a lot and read to kids or talk to them about things. Something like this happens once every year, you know. It's always different, and that's actually one of the reasons why I got into radio, is because it's interesting. I don't want to do the same thing every day. I kind of want to do different things. And in radio, you definitely will be able to do that. So if that's something you're interested in, for sure, go for it. If you want to get into radio yourself, I touched on a few things. Of course, you got to be active in social networking. Volunteer as much as you can. So if there's an organization that you like, maybe you're down with the Winnipeg Humane Society or whatever, volunteer, because it looks good on your resume, and it's going to help you to prepare for what's coming if you do get into radio, because you got to, like all the stuff that I do during the day after 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, none of it's paid for. You just do it because you want to. Helps you get you out there, and because you believe in the stuff that you're doing. So helping charities, that's why I like Hot 103 so much, is because it's a good fit, because I actually like to help people, and we try and do as much of that as possible. So get out there and volunteer. Why I personally went into radio was because I like people. I like you guys. You like me? Someone say no? Because then you have to leave. Just kidding. It's very interesting, like I said. It changes from day to day. And I just wanted to be happy. I didn't get into radio for the money, because when you first start out in radio, you don't get paid that well. It's not a glamorous job. You can work up to it once you get on a morning show. Not me, but like if you're the top dog, like an Ace Burpee, you're making good money. Probably 6 figures or close to it. So you got to work towards it, but I definitely didn't get into it for the money. I just wanted to do something that I enjoyed, that I would have fun doing, and I've done that. So that's what I would say is the secret to life. Because right now you guys are coming up to the point where you got to pick what you want to do with your life. And what I would say, just pick something you want to do. Then the money comes second. Everything will fall into place. You'll be happy. Different jobs in radio. So a lot of you guys put your hands up when I asked if you want to get in radio. What were you guys thinking? Like, somebody give me an example. Is it all just you guys all want to be on air? You all want to be announcers? Yeah? So there's a lot of different jobs in radio. There's copywriters. Does anybody know what a copywriter is? No? Basically, a copywriter is the person at our station that writes commercials. So that's how we make our money, is through commercials, right? People pay us to put their commercials on. So a client will come to our copywriter, say, this is what I want you to push. This is what we want to advertise. And then the copywriter has to come up with something creative, like a commercial, and something to sell that. So that's what a copywriter does. There's also producers. Producer is the person that makes the commercial once that's all said and done. So, and they do a lot more than that too. But their main focus would be making commercials. So you got to be, again, good with computers. You got to be creative. Our producer is probably one of the best in the city, and he does so much more than just making commercials. If you guys ever hear our songs on the radio, you ever heard the Hot 103 songs, like the Jet Rock Anthem and Manitoba Girls and stuff like that? He puts all of that together. So basically, he's like a music producer as well. So that's a really fun job. If you're good at computer, maybe not necessarily you don't want to go on air, that's something that you can be really creative, and they get paid very well. So try that out. Copywriting, production, promotions is another fun job. Promotion basically would be the person who kind of makes up all of our contests. So you can be as creative as you want, and you get to give stuff away to people. So it's a fun job. They're very busy, but it's very fun. And then sales would be the other job in radio. So if you're kind of a salesman, you're a fast talker, that'll be a job for you. And they probably make the most money. If you go to a radio station, the morning show guy's car you'll be like, it's just a regular car. It's like my mom or dad's. Check out the salespeople rolling in. They'll have a Lexus or Hummer or whatever. They're making good coins, so don't count that out. So that basically covers your jobs in radio. That's why I wanted to get into radio. I kind of told you a little bit about what you're going to need, where you can take your courses.